All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. This is the Helping Friendly podcast. This is Monday, the 24th of October. We're one day late from the anniversary. We're going to be discussing, but we think that it's going to be worthwhile. I'm RJ. I'm here with Jonathan and Megan, as always, and we have a special guest. We have Arvind. How are you, Arvind?
Good, RJ. Hi, Megan. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Howdy.
Hey, Arvind. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Um, Arvin, the last time I saw you was in Milwaukee the night before the Alpine shows.
Right.
The event we did with Riley Walker in Milwaukee, that was awesome. We got to auction off some Milwaukee Bucks gear and all that stuff. Will you tell everyone listening just a little? People probably heard you on Undermine season 2, but tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive in.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Quick tease there. If you didn't tune into season 2 of Undermine, go back, listen. I was there, and then catch up. It's awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Arvin from Milwaukee. RJ, that is right. That's where we last met for the Alpine shows. I moonlight in many different lives that I get to run here. First and foremost, I'm a grateful dad because I'm a dad. So you're going to maybe hear 3 kids run in off the bus in the background in
Yeah,
a few minutes. But
that goes.
yeah, that's first and foremost, right? No, Dad, I'm born and raised here in Milwaukee. First member of the family from outside of India. I became a fish fan very young in life, just through random connections somehow. Now, gravitate many years later, I professionally work for the Milwaukee Bucks, which is how I was able to get some of that wonderful auction items to donate off for music education. But yeah, I work for the Bucks. I'm a world champion, and then I get to go on tour every once in a while too.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
That is
Yeah, sounds pretty
fantastic.
good.
That is fantastic. And yeah, Arvin was on season 2 of Undermine, as I mentioned, and we got to do a lot of collaboration in Milwaukee. So thanks for setting that up, Arvin, and
Pleasure.
connecting us and all that. Okay, so I guess we have to we're continuing our dive through fall 2021, and this show is wild. We're gonna get into it, but first I want to say we just recorded an episode of HF Pod Premium. We just launched a new premium offering through Memberful. You can go to osirispod.com/premium if you want to support. It's a few bucks a month, and you can get bonus episodes and ad-free episodes and a lot more stuff. Arvin, what was your touring schedule like in 2021?
2021. So as some of you guys remember, obviously some of those were makeup dates, and you guys probably talked about it. Makeup dates from COVID to, so for me, yeah, that's first and foremost how that got started. And the San Fran shows were my genesis for the fall tour. First shows at the Chase Center, which in my NBA world is actually a friend, right? Like the people who run Chase and the Warriors are friends in my world. And so I missed out on just the random, because all those shows were far away from me, as you guys can appreciate. So for me, just throwing into the lottery, seeing if I got anything is usually the impetus to go and do a trip. Struck out. But in my world, when you talk to other people and you talk about the shows you go to and the interest, it was a very easy. Somebody was like, "Hey, do you know this person at the Warriors? Why don't you ask them for some tickets?" And so, originally, when they all got scheduled, I got these free tickets to go to see them at Chase. I just had to get my way there, right? And so, COVID hit. We came out of COVID a little bit. We planned a family trip around it. Actually, I took my wife and kids to San Francisco
Yes.
for a
Nice.
week.
Yeah, genius. So
Right?
well done.
Started the week with 2 shows at Chase, and so I took my wife to one. I took another family friend to another. But even leading up to that, I was like, all right, I see the week ahead. Is there any way I can do the LA shows? And I have this amazing, wonderful wife who allowed me to, at the end of the week, depart my family, let them go home back to Wisconsin, and I flew out to LA from San Francisco to see this Chula Vista show, which ended up being my 60th. So that was part of the reason I was like, I want to see my 60th show. I've never been anywhere this kind of far away to see a show. And that's how I got there. And it was an amazing lead up to it. And yeah, that's kind of my build up to that fall tour. I'm trying to think. Probably the last fall show I saw was maybe back in 2000, right? And Allstate when they do the early.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while, right? Life catches up. You do all these other things. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many fish is played in the Midwest, even in the fall, but I don't recall a ton where I was able to go. So yeah, at this point left, let's make a trip. And we made a trip.
Sweet. Well, you picked well, I think.
I got lucky.
You did. Although a lot of the shows on this tour were good, so had good odds. Yeah,
True.
Really amazing.
It was nice. It was nice to have that show to look forward to. Right? I had those first two in San Francisco. It was wonderful, and like this one, and I was taking two different people that I knew were gonna have fun no matter what because I was taking them, but it wasn't like I could just go enjoy it, right? So it's a little different. And so to have that show at the end and for it to have been this Chula Vista show was incredible.
That's a nice capstone to your vacation.
It is. Yeah.
Megan, you've seen some West Coast fish in your day. Well, I guess first of all, can you set us up for those who haven't been following along? Where was this in the tour? This was just not that many shows in, right? I mean, I guess it was kind of a short tour, but
yeah. So we had the Sacramento shows to start, and then there was the 2 nights in San Fran, and then 2 nights in Eugene. And then there was a night in Phoenix and then a night down in Chula Vista. So I haven't seen a show in Chula Vista or in San Diego. I think I saw one in 95. And it was my first time I ever saw a West Coast fish. So it was just spectacular. I had been wanting to see the Grateful Dead out West. That's why I went to college in Arizona. But they were no longer after that summer in 95. And so I got to go see fish. Yeah. And it was amazing seeing them like on the water, and they played at Summer Pops at the like Embarcadero Center, like right on the water. And it was just, seeing fish in Southern California it's cool. It's so different. Like I grew up in the Midwest, so I know where you're coming from, Arvind. Like I grew up in Michigan, seeing like, all the shows in the Midwest. And so it was so cool to go out and see like California fish. It was awesome. And this is the first time they've been back to that area in like 5 years, since 2016.
Yeah, to that effect, my first show was in California as well. And so it was a totally unique perspective to seeing the band. I've seen up until that point 60 times, right? So it was very different, and it was cool to experience it that way.
Far cry from Alpine Valley, I imagine.
Yeah, very little different.
Yeah. Totally.
And that Chula Vista show, I mean, where they put you're so close to the border. You're like out there. Like it takes a little bit to get to that Chula Vista venue.
Yeah, what's the vibe like in the venue?
Open. It felt like a small like amphitheater. If you're from the Midwest and people from Wisconsin maybe tuning in, it felt like our Marcus Amphitheater, at our Summerfest grounds, right? It wasn't huge. It wasn't like this massive thing. But it just felt like it was like a couple miles away from the border. So as you're driving in, every exit that you're getting closer to, you're like this far away from Mexico. You're like, wow, we're really far out there.
That's awesome.
But the venue itself was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It was just a perfect outdoor venue. After I'd just seen 2 indoor shows, which were just Chase Center, right? So that was another just like, oh, I can enjoy warm weather again for a minute.
Yeah, the pictures were gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean this and also this, man, they were kind of on fire this whole tour, but this show like was pretty special. I guess the opener really just kind of like I remember following along and seeing people tweeting about it, and it just kind of like blew everyone's minds. This like jammed out Fluffhead. I don't know, Arvind, what was your take on the first set? Like what listening back and going back to it a year later, what are the biggest standouts for you?
Oh my gosh, this first set is on like constant rotation in my household with my kids as well. Yeah. So precursor. So the friend I didn't go solo. So it was an awesome environment in the sense that I took a buddy who flew in from Denver to LA to meet me just to go to this show. He's like my oldest childhood friend, single guy in Denver. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you want to just fly out? So he met me and was my companion for this entire ride. And it was so much fun just from that perspective. And he hasn't seen a ton of shows, but he's a guitar major in college, loves music, has seen a few shows. And so he knew enough songs that like even for him when Fluffhead came out, he's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And that was awesome, right? Like for me to have just a friend next to me, that was like, all right, I don't really care either what they play the entire show, to getting that as your first one, to then the friends at home texting, being like, oh, I cannot believe you got that as your opener, right? Just on its like bare minimums was like just an awesome way to tip off, right? And so, yeah, that was exciting, super fun. Still sunlight out, and you get that song that everybody at home also then gets as the free tease or whatever. So it only sets you up for more, which is awesome. And then, yeah, I think that's no question the first part that gets me going. But like one thing I told you guys, right, it was my 60th show. And so you're not going to believe this, but always there's fun math in all of our worlds, right? My first show, 7/8/2000, my buddies and I went to that, our first show at Alpine. We got a llama in that show. That first set, fast llama. I didn't get a llama again for 21 years until that show in Chula Vista.
No way.
And it was a slow llama. And
That's
so my
Wow.
gap in llamas was not only 21 years and 59 shows, but it was a fast llama and a slow llama. And so the llama was my favorite part of the first set. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
What about you guys? What did you take away?
Jonathan,
That
what do you
is
have to
so
say?
I have things to say. So first of all, this Fluffhead,
Me too.
this Fluffhead is always fun to have an opener. Fluffhead, right? This one goes type 2, which is cool. And I think I texted you guys, RJ and Megan, the other day that if I just pulled out a chunk of that jam and played it for you, you'd have no idea that it came from
Right.
a Fluffhead opener. It is
Totally.
really like, I could have told you it's from one of those You Enjoy Myself that jams out or something. Because it's just completely off book. It's complete type 2. And it's great. It goes into this NICU, which is shocking, frankly. Like on paper, it's shocking. And when you listen to it, it's like, I mean, they're just so ready to jam. I think the Bye Bye Foot landing, though, is my favorite part. But backing up a little, so one of the times I tried to listen to this set to prepare for today, I was listening to the Fluffhead, and I was like, got into the ICU, and I was bored. And it's not
God
because the
damn,
music is
Jonathan.
bad. Oh, hang on a second. I got a story to
Just
tell.
kidding.
It's not because the music is bad. It's because I wasn't there for it. But it really, I think, clarifies what can happen when you go to a show and you're like, this is bonkers. This is the craziest thing. And somebody else is like, because it was entirely my headspace. I wasn't in the right headspace to sit and listen to an extended Fish jam. I really enjoyed when I was ready to turn it off, and I said, well, we'll just get through the jam. And then it came into Bye Bye Foot, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'll listen to the rest of this song. I enjoyed that, and sometimes you're not. Maybe they're very rare times. Maybe it never happens to you, gentle listener, or those of you here on the panel. But sometimes you're just not in a space to listen to a jam. Sometimes the improv is not tickling the right centers of your brain, and maybe your attention needs a song for focus. So let us be a little forgiving of people who disagree with us when we talk about how this is amazing or this isn't. Sometimes it's just that you listen to it another day and it changes your perspective, because these jams are good and they're very exciting that they even happen. And overall, I think it's a pretty solid set. The tube is really nice too.
Super nice.
But I think the
Yeah.
Bye Bye Foot is my favorite part because it's actually a really cool song, and they need to play it sometime when I'm there.
Yeah,
Good
I would
perspective.
love
That's a
to
good
hear
point.
that song too. Yeah.
I like
think
your.
this set's amazing. Go ahead, RJ.
Sorry, Megan. I want you to I just want to say to Jonathan, it's a good point. I think we don't think about that very much because I think last week I was preparing for some Undermine recording and listening to a show that's like, some amazing 90s show. And I was just like sort of pissed off. And so it didn't really like, I had to like go back and listen to it a second time when I was in a better place to appreciate it. And I think that's something we probably don't actually acknowledge all that often, that like you really gotta these days, you gotta like be in the right frame of mind because we all have so much stuff going on between, families and work and, everything. So I think I just want to say that I like that point, Jonathan. Sorry, Megan.
I really want to know what show that was, but we can take that offline.
I don't remember. I've listened to
Confession
like 30 in the past 2 weeks. I don't remember.
Yeah. It's so good. Yeah, it's true. You have to be in the right space for it, especially a show like this. I think this show, like, they came out obviously with a purpose. I think anytime they open with Fluffhead, it's special. It's special. And especially when they jam it out. I think the jam out of this Fluffhead is super like soulful and funky. It's so good. And this NICU blows my mind. I mean, this is a song that whenever I hear it, I feel like I'm 19 again because I feel like I used to hear it all the time in the 90s. And it's just one of those songs that like immediately transports me back. And you can hear people on the recording like cheering when they extend past that usual ending and they start extending the riff. And that was you, Arvin. It was so cool to hear that on the recording, like people actually like getting like, okay, this is happening. It's just awesome. It's so layering. And I think that throughout the whole show, they're finding ways to subtly quote NICU in this way that's like super thoughtful and fun. And sometimes it works like incredibly well. And Trey just will like, play it a little slower, a little softer. Sometimes it's a little harder and faster. And I think it's just really cool how they were finding ways to bring it in. I thought his tone was just absolutely perfect throughout this whole jam. And then it gets like dark and it's just incredible. I think this whole show, there were so many times when I was listening to it that I thought, there's no way there's only 4 people on stage right now. Like, how can only 4 people make this big of music? And then I agree, the landing in Bye Bye Foot is like amazing. They played it like 4 times in 97, once in 2019, and then this show. So 6 times I've seen it once. Not to brag, but what were you going to say, Arvind?
I'm at your one now, right? I'm at your one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, great perspectives, y'all. Jonathan, agreed wholeheartedly. I think to your comments about having to be connected to the show, like the presence being there, right, is a huge thing. And that's like one of the we get to celebrate one of the unique music environments where you can have that unique connection just by attending, and it's not the same show, and we can make fun of you for not getting a version that Megan and I got or whatever, right? Like it's that cool. So no, to the effect of NICU, I think I love the intentionality, right? Of course, we're all wondering when you see a show that's on the billing, and are they going to do something fun? Are they going to play the song? And like, to Megan's point, they not only played it, they played it so beautifully, and they like took it to a type 2 level where that was the moment for me. I was like, oh, the rest of the show is going to be totally different, right? Like the fact that they just blew that out and they took it from like a type 2 to a type 3 and 4 to tease it throughout the first set was like, it was awesome. I think that set an amazing tone for just the fun creativity they brought to the rest of that set. But yeah, that NICU, the Fluffhead to the NICU was an awesome like launching pad, right? Like, and so yeah, just that from that perspective, yeah, I was for sure one of those in the background hooting and hollering, like, oh man, because we've all gotten that song, right? Like in the 90s a million times, and to see them try and do something different, you're like, all right, they're paying attention, they know where they are, they know what they're doing, like it's amazing.
And they're chomping at the bit to do it, right? Like they come out, they didn't even wait till the second set. Yeah.
We all know this band, I think, well enough to know that it was just as likely they would do nothing and not even acknowledge it. You'd walk out of there going, that's not a shock. And they'd play ordinary great show or maybe an extraordinary great show and still not acknowledge that at all. It was a fair chance that would happen. But the fact that they went for it and did it, successfully. I mean, NSCU was a great song. It's one of my top, but never would have expected it to do something like this. But if it was gonna, this was the night and the place.
Yeah.
I think to me the theme of all of 2021 is the unexpected jam songs. Like it kind of like
Yeah.
breathed new life into being a fan in it for me in some way, because you get these, like, all of 2021 had these huge um Carinis, Chalk Dust, the Tweezer, and the Soul Planet from Shoreline. Like there are these, like, basically what you would expect, right? But then you get in the summer the Gorge, the Camel Walk, right? There's like a 17-minute Camel Walk, and then you're like, oh shit, like Camel Walk, and then there's like, and then Frankie Says from San Francisco, and then NICU from this show, and then like in Vegas, I mean, there was 1999 was jammed out. I mean, there was a lot of weird shit that happened on that Vegas run, which Jonathan was
Yeah.
I
there
have to
for
go
all of it.
back and listen to
I
that
mean, the
Vegas
Axilla
run
Part
because
2 from the second night of Vegas is like one of my favorite things that happened
Mhm.
all year. I just think it's like amazing that 30 however many years in, they're like they're gonna jam out Your Pet Cat for the first time for 16 minutes and like do something that nobody expects. I just think it's a really amazing place to be.
we're at 39 years, or we're about to be. Check your calendar, you know.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Jesus.
crazy. That is so
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow. So
Also,
okay.
this tube rocks. Can we just talk really quickly about
Yeah,
this tube? Because
Tube
it
is really
is
good.
so good. It is so good. It's so energetic. It's so dancey. It's just super interesting. Page on the piano. Fishman is this whole show absolutely killing it. I mean, he sounds so amazing.
yeah. Tube, and it remains tight and hot the whole time. I was listening to that again today and playing guitar along with it, and nobody wants to hear that. By the way, it's just an exercise for
I
me.
kind of
But
do.
no, you really don't. But it's a good listening exercise for me, so I can hear when they modulate, and I can, kind of keep locked into every bit of the groove and the who's doing what in it. And I really had a good time with it. Listening to it today.
Um, Arvin, was there anything about the sound in the venue that you noticed that was different from other stops on the
Or
tour or anywhere else?
or as a contrast, going from your previous shows having been indoors, mostly we don't get indoor to outdoor in such a
Yeah.
narrow
Yeah.
narrow window. It's usually the next tour that you go from one to the other.
For sure, guys. No, nothing that stands out most significantly, right? Like this was massively different, other than just the fact that they were playing an outdoor show in the fall that late, and it was that in itself. I felt like maybe inspired better sound, or I remember the jams more significantly because it was just an open air environment, right? Um, yeah, I don't have a great answer or thought to that other than like I think I was just in the moment of appreciating that as a kid who lives in Wisconsin. It was
Right.
October and I'm outside in a t-shirt, and that in itself was amazing. But I do listen. You guys are mentioning the tube. The tube was phenomenal. There were so many moments in that tube where you're like, "Holy cow, what are they doing?" Like I take pride on like, and I raise a child who almost takes pride in this, where you could listen to any moment of a song and be like, "Oh, what song is that?" Right? That too. Like when I listen to that at random times now, there are so many times where I'm like, "Did I just zone out? What song was this for a second?"
Yes.
Like
That's the
that
best.
that's a cool one. That too gave me that, which was pretty cool as a re-listen, right? Like it was just different, and it seemed like they went in and out of a couple different really funky, fun jams, where all of them were doing something. So yeah, the tube was awesome. That was a good one right in the middle there. That
It's
just
like
kept
the sci-fi soldier stuff you can kind of hear.
totally a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arvin, so set 2 has 3 like legitimate monster jams as
Yeah.
well. When you set break, what are you guys expecting for set 2, or what are you thinking going into the second set?
Admittedly, I don't. I'm trying to put myself in the memory of like I just seen a couple shows at Chase. I'm kind of set list tracking here, right? What I can tell you I didn't expect was what came at the end of the set, right? The beginning of the set reasonable.
Yeah.
No Man and No
Yep.
Man's Land is a pretty rotational set opening tune. So the fact that they went relatively standard but like jammed it out pretty good was awesome. But yeah, I'm thinking about what I wanted to expect. It's like that last show of the tour. I'm just grateful for whatever they give, and they give a pretty amazing, set there. So yeah, no, starting with No Man and No Man's Land, like that was an awesome kind of like, let's go off for a little bit longer here into the second set. So that was a good one, a good start. It's a fun tune that I got a few years earlier when it was first starting to come out. They played it once at Alpine. We were like, oh, this one, all right, this is a fun second set groove that they can get into.
I
They
love
really
No
milked
Man
that.
openers.
They milk that groove for everything it's worth, and it's
Yeah.
worth a lot. It's good for the dancers, good for the jamming.
No
Go ahead,
question.
So
Megan.
good. When I was just gonna say that the one that I heard at MSG this year, I feel like it's forever etched in my brain. I feel like when this song, they can get into like a pocket so quick and
Mhm.
just find this like tight little jam so easily. And this one's great too. It's like almost 17 minutes, and it's nice. It's like I think it kind of it pales into what happens later in the set, just because the set gets crazy. But it's a great way to start the show. The second set, really
Yeah.
great.
It's such an upbeat, it's such a fast groove for them, especially in
Mhm.
this era. Like a lot of these grooves are in the songs they're playing, like are, a little bit more mid tempo, but this is it's a rocking song. One of the best to come out of over the past 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
So then Free is another kind of like sort of unexpected jam vehicle, at least to that extent, right?
I mean, I've seen longer, but it's this Free is awesome.
It's so
Um,
good.
I cranked it up this afternoon when I went out and sat on the porch for lunch, and I was just like leaning towards the speakers, listening to it just kind of go off. You get your NICU teases, and then you get the synth pedal from Trey, and then Paige fires up his synths, and you get loops and just craziness. And it is this and like one piece of at the end of the Piper Jam are like my favorite things from this show. Like this whole Free and a Piper Jam, give that to me and like a 25-minute mini disc or something, and I'll carry that around for years. That'd be fine.
So were you, Jonathan, were you at 11:22:95?
Yes.
Okay, because there's only two versions that are longer than this, and that's one of them. I figured you were at that show. Because this is a pretty
Yeah.
this is a monster version. In addition to that one from this past summer, because you never, I don't know, Arvin, like when you're at a show, like when I hear Free, I expect it to be like a cool funky thing in the middle, and it to be 6 minutes, and like on to the next song.
100%. No, same here. And like, let's be honest. The last couple years, it's like unfreed Free. Like they've kind of
Yes.
done some fun things with it lately. That one started it for me. I've seen a couple. I'm trying to think of where it was on this year's tour, but the what I got from Free this year was even a little bit different. I think they played one in Canada at Toronto this year in the summer, and it was like, ooh, that wasn't the same Free as well, right? Like that was
Yeah. And
it's fun
Atlantic
to get
City this
different.
year,
Yeah,
same.
Fun
So
to get a
good.
different one of these, and like the fact that they're using it as a jam vehicle, amazing. The fact that they're bringing it in the second set, even better. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like now when I hear Free, I don't expect it just to be a short song. Like I'm like, this song could actually really rock. Like I think they've been really putting some extra mustard into Free lately, and it's awesome.
When you were lucky enough to be at AC,
That encore was insane, and it was like overshadowed by other amazing things that happened that night. But that I listened to that encore a lot. It's really, really good.
Right.
And it's like this. It's like funky, spacey. It's got that like super rhythmic. It's really great.
I can't believe I missed the first night of AC. That was like
I can't either.
that was a little bit of a mistake, but
total noob maneuver, RJ. Come on.
it
You
was.
should have been there hanging out with me.
I
Sad.
know. I was hanging out with you the next day, and to be fair, I had gotten more sleep than you.
And to be fair, we spent a lot of time together that weekend.
Yeah, we did. It's fun. Anyway, Arvind, what else? What else from this set sticks out? And by the way, is this set on repeat as much as the first one for you?
Well, I mean, there are pockets of this second set that are on constant repeat, right? My favorite part, Piper. Oh man, that was one like I just wanted it again all summer this year. Never got it, but I love Piper. Piper is another throwback to my first show, 7/8/2000, where that was the song that like you're like, oh, I'm a Fish fan from now on, right? And so anytime you get those throughout the years, you're like, yes. And so Piper was it for me again. This set, it was awesome, man. They took it in so many different ways and it was fantastic. Jonathan, you re-listened to that one this morning?
Yeah, I mean
Were you bored?
No. I want to say that I almost skipped Joy, even though I love that song. But Joy is what it is. But when I was reaching for the thing to the guitar solo started, and even though it's kind of a rote solo, it's so gorgeous. I let it play out. Sand though is straight short, not super. It's not bad. It's just not anything but quick and dirty sand. But this Piper, man, it goes. And the last several minutes of this Piper are absolutely insane psychedelic jamming that I mean it rips. It's unbelievable. They are so far off the map, so out there with loops and synths and just echoes and then they all stop and let it decay, and then Trey starts playing synths. It's perfect. Like, did they practice that? No, but they just nail it. It is masterful. And I love it so much.
It's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild version. And
Yeah.
Piper is, like you were saying, Arvin, I think everyone wants to hear it and wants to hear it, jammed, but it just like the 2.0 and late 1.0 days are, it's just like this song doesn't show up that often in that way anymore. I was just looking earlier, there's only 7 15+ minute versions of Piper since 2009, since they came back, which is like just not a lot for a song that for many years was like a dependable jam vehicle. It was like a go-to for a while there, and it's interesting. Some of those 2000 versions and then especially in 2.0, I mean, just
2003 Pipers are so good. I named my kid born in December of 2003 Piper.
Yes,
Not
year of
kidding.
Piper. Yeah,
that's about all you can. That's about as
it's the biggest stamp of approval. That
exactly.
You can give.
Exactly.
Naming
Yeah.
your child after fish is a
Yeah.
massive life accomplishment, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, it
I
also
have a-
means you chose a good spouse.
I have a
exactly.
yeah, exactly. I have a Leo in my household. So.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
hi. That's awesome. This
so-
Piper though is so great. It just like
It's really
7
great.
minutes into it, it turns like super dissonant and so layered. And Fishman is playing this like crazy offbeat. Like he sounds like he's playing like it doesn't make sense that a human can make that. It sounds like an electronic like beat. It's just insane. And then the song just goes completely nuts. It turns into like a horror film soundtrack. Like it sounds like there are teenagers lost in a haunted house and there's like a terrifying killer that's like chasing them and there's these like piercing screaming sounds. This is like the perfect spooky season song. I mean, this is like the Halloween Piper. This is so incredible and terrifying. And like you said, Brian, the landing in Sense is just like that's like the perfect anecdote. So, and it's sort of creepy how they start it too, the Sense. It's like this kind of like creep into it. It's just I mean, this must have been insane. I think one of our listeners was saying that he was a new fan and Chula was his first show. He got super close in the pit page side. My face got so fried, I had to buy a ticket to the forum the next day. I mean, that is like you're saying, Arvin's like, Piper sold you in 2000, and here it is selling him again in 2021. So
yeah,
awesome.
that's pretty great.
Can't blame you,
Yeah.
man.
It's
Can't
awesome,
blame you.
Yeah.
Jacob.
That is great. I think it the slow build Piper, which Incredible perp. Hey Brian. Said bring back the slow build. Sorry, Megan. Bring back the slow build Piper. I think if we we brought back the second jam and mics, brought back the sense intro, the slow build Piper should be. I feel like it should be doable. What do you guys think?
Yes, I love the slow build Piper.
Slow Bill Piper.
This band did Frankie
100%.
Says. They could totally do the slow bill Piper. This audience is ready
Yes.
for it. They can get away with a what's the use with pin drop silence. The audience is ready for these kinds of dynamics. I feel like the band is always just in a hurry when it comes time to play Piper. I mean,
I think
I really
that's
think
fair.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think they rush it. They
It's their
start
fault.
slow. They've had a couple where they're like, where the band is probably walking out of there going, yeah, that was a pretty slow build, that Piper. And we're all like, it was 20 seconds, guys. 15 seconds is not
slow
a slow
enough.
build. It's slower because I think they did one this year that was slower, but it's not. No.
This band's probably like, what the hell do you want from us? Like, we're not playing fast enough. Now we're playing too fast. Like, we
Too many
can't win
notes.
here. We can't win here. Yeah. And I like how Matt Higgins is saying that this is the Nightmare on Elm Street Piper. Totally agree.
Yeah.
What else? What else happens? I mean, there's still the sense is pretty big too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not over
Yeah.
yet.
Pretty
Sense is great.
yeah, amazing sense there, right? Like for me, one I hadn't gotten in a long time, personally speaking. So like, hey, it was like, holy cow, I forgot that they know how to play that song.
Yeah.
Which is part of the like every time you're at a show, right? Whether you hear Bye Bye Foot in the first set to like for me hearing this in the second set, knowing that I obviously they played it on tour earlier, it's still like this amazing sign of like, oh man, that intro was so beautiful, so melodically slow and fantastic that you're like, oh man, this is just wonderful. Like what a way to end the second set too.
I think also two things. The sense intro is slightly weird in a way that very appropriate following that Piper. And the other thing is that when Fish plays the intro, which is tracked separately on the compact disc album fish.net, it should be listed on fish.net so that I can look at this and know, oh yeah, they played the intro without having to play the thing. And again, I have very few quibbles with fish.net. I actually defer constantly and happily to their decision making. This is one of their grievous errors, in my opinion. I just want to take this opportunity to say that as I missed the recap 1 year ago today. So
That seems fair.
It's good to point out the grievous errors, you know, just
there are very few, but I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so this is an NICU continues to be throughout this entire show, which is kind of fun, and it's not, you know, sometimes when it's like sometimes it sidetracks the show, you know, when you get like a, you know, like a song kind of takes over the whole show and then it becomes like a little too goofy or whatever. Like seems to me like the best balance. Like there's amazing improv throughout.
I agree with you. You put that comment on the screen, Matt Higgins, since first time since 2004 that Sense ended a second set. That is correct. I did just now check the work on that one. So good call, Matt.
So cool. When I was listening to it, I forgot that Lonely Trip was actually the beginning of the encore, and I kind of was thinking that it ended, but yeah, because I'm just not used to Sense ending a second set. It's been a long time. Right. So cool encore too, and super cute when Trey's like, Mike Gordon, I see you. John Fishman, I see you. Paige McConnell, I see you. And then he must have looked at the crowd and said, and I see you. And we
how cool.
see you. Oh my God, how cool is that? Anytime Trey talks, it's special.
Cheesy. It's cheesy. I love it.
It's
every once in a while the cheese gets it too, guys. Like speaking from a cheese head, the cheese will get to you every once in a while.
Hey, when we're done, I got to talk to you about sending down some curds. All right.
Absolutely. But Megan, part of me has blocked that encore opening song from my memory for not good reasons, for bad reasons. But like emotional reasons. I was on my lonely trip, right? I was literally on my trip away from my family, seeing this show right by the
Yeah.
border, and so it was awesome, right? I loved that song, so I'm glad like I have this remember, and I'm glad we've talked about it. It's good to remember that song because he probably wasn't looking at me, but right, like you felt that. You like sometimes you get that connection
Yeah.
in that moment when you're thousands of miles from home, seeing this random band. Um, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool that they played that song too.
I love
Definitely.
that. And I love that song. I think it's so special and like a song that just it's a really special song. It's beautiful, beautifully written.
Uh,
First tube after that. I think it
Yeah.
was the first tube right after that, guys. Yeah, the
Classic
encore.
encore.
Yeah, good
Classic.
end of the rocker. Of
Yeah.
course, as always. But
Yeah.
Lonely Trip is so great. Sorry, I'm late to the party.
right.
It's so great.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I would take it at every show.
I don't know that I would
That I
take it at
see.
every show, but I like it.
Jonathan, I want you to know, per our premium episode that we just recorded, which you can get if you go to osirispod.com/premium and subscribe for only a few dollars a month. I think I'm in the, actually, never mind. I'm in the 40% club for Lonely Trip, not the 50%
That's really
club.
nothing. That's not a thing,
Ooh.
RJ. Don't even try to tout
Yes,
fake
it
stats.
is. It's
40%
a
Man.
club.
40% club.
Please. Go see one more, the next one that they play, and then you might make it in. It might
Maybe.
edge you in to the 50% club, which is a real thing. But yeah, everybody go listen to the premium episode, and you'll know what we're talking about. And I mentioned without mentioning this the next song, First Tube, as well. So
And
you
we
have to
nerd
go
out
listen and
we
unravel
talk
that.
about stats, and I'm wearing a turtleneck a la Steve Jobs. So check it
uh,
out.
You're
So
really
much.
going to confuse the people.
We
Yeah.
are. That's what we set out to do. Arvin, what's your a year later? I mean, I know you've mentioned a couple of times that you listen to this show a lot, but what are your takeaways like now, like going through it and talking about it?
so many things beyond the music, but beyond the music, we'll start with like everybody go see fish. If you love fish, go see fish first and foremost. Like million reasons not to, million reasons and responsibilities, but you can get that show like I just got, and you'll remember it a year later, right? And so I'm the little birdie on your shoulder that's saying go see more shows. No, that's first and foremost, right? The appreciation that I have for just going and doing it. Having a family that supported me to go do it is pretty awesome. And now that they love the show too, it also makes it even more worthwhile that they love the show. Um, no, it was awesome from that side. Awesome from like, listen, we're coming out of a pandemic to like going and doing things again, right? That was worth it. And then the music side of things just got me so excited for next year, right? I knew I wasn't going to do a run, whatever the run that didn't happen, the MSG run, but it just got me more pumped for this year, right? And so that's the fun part of the band we follow is that you get these wonderful moments, no matter when you're going to leave them. That it's like, oh, you keep bringing me back for more. And so yeah, that's what that show gave me.
That's awesome, man. That's so great. What a great takeaway from a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't ask for more than that. That's just how you should feel.
I, on the other hand, took away anger. I was so mad that they played a 17-minute in ICU just days before I was going to see them.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I wasn't mad.
You got the
I think it's
Vegas
awesome.
shows, Jonathan. You can't
I
be
did okay.
mad.
I'm not complaining. There's
Yeah.
no complaints. No,
I didn't see
I
any
think it's
shows
I
on
think
this
it's
whole
great.
tour, so I had really bad FOMO, but I was happy
Yeah.
for all of you.
No, this is a great show. I'm really happy for everybody who got to see it, but I'm also happy for the rest of us because we all can listen to it. And we really you should, if for some reason you didn't, but you're listening to us right now. Check this show out. It's kind of badass.
So fun. So fun. All right. Well, what else? Are there any other what are you seeing? Are you seeing any MSG shows, Arvin? Like what's your when's the next time you're going to see Fish?
So my high school buddies and I, when we started seeing them 20 plus years ago, said if they're still touring when we turn 40, we have to go do the MSG run if we haven't done it by then. We turned 40 this year. happy birthday a year to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So we're doing
Yes.
the MSG. We're doing the MSG run.
That's
Right on.
awesome. Wow.
Yes. So we've got that on
Awesome.
our calendar. Looking forward to that. My 7-year-old, soon to be 7-year-old, means that Daddy has to miss his birthday because of it. But it's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
That
It's
is
important
awesome,
for our
man.
kids to see us pursuing our passions.
Exactly.
And hit me up when you're in New York and we'll meet up in person. I'm
Yeah.
so excited you're coming. It's going to be a great run.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad that I asked because now I know that you can come and do a recap with us.
There you
Maybe
go.
when you're back.
Just
Maybe when you're back.
booking more content. That's how
Yeah.
it works, right, RJ?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Exactly.
going to force you.
Exactly. Well, this has been really fun. So Arvind, where should people find you? I think we can link to your Twitter account, just so people can say hi and follow you on Twitter. Is there anywhere else that's good that people should know about?
Well, if you're in Wisconsin, you'll see me at Bucks games a lot this upcoming season. So come if you're not. Otherwise, yeah, follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on social. Easiest ways to get a hold of me is that, or you can just reach out to RJ or Brian Brinkman, and they know how to get a quick hold of me too. Y'all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm telling you.
Appreciate this. Appreciate
Yeah,
the
and
opportunity.
if you go to Milwaukee, look Arvind up because he'll show you all the good spots.
Nice.
I'll try.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Arvind. Thank you, Jonathan, Megan. Thanks everybody for tuning in and watching, and for those of you listening, thanks for listening. We're going to be back on Wednesday with a commenter who you just saw a couple times, Matt Higgins.
Yay.
He's going to be back. He's been here a few times, and he's going to be back again. And Jonathan, you are very smart person because you reminded me that we need to tell our friends about our friends at Sunset Lake CBD, which I can do. I'll just tell you guys that Sunset Lake CBD's line of smokable hemp products are for the old deadhead or the young fish fan searching for a mellow body high. They have a bunch of different strains this year. You guys hear us talk about Sunset Lake CBD all the time, and you know that we are enthusiasts and we use it and we believe in them. So check them out. Go to sunsetlakecbd.com and use the coupon code HFPod for 20% off all products. If you're listening to this, you wouldn't be able to see Jonathan holding up the jar of, what is that, salve?
Yeah, that's the salve with arnica.
That's that.
That
And Jonathan uses
the
that all
Undermine
the time.
account was exhorting me to use it for my arthritis. I was like, bro, I know. I am aware.
Undermine. Come on.
Yeah. Come on. Thank you to Sunset Lake CBD. All right. I think that's it. We're going to be back on Wednesday. So we'll see you all then or talk to you all then. Thanks again to Arvind Gopalratnam. Did I get it that time? Yes.
Not bad. It was better the first time.
It was better the first time. Shit.
Yeah, you like doubted yourself.
I
RJ.
know.
I did. I actually
Yeah,
did. I was
yeah,
like,
you
I was
did.
worried about it. I got worried about it. Thank you, Arvind. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
everybody.
Arvind. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks, Arvin.